In all the situations of excitement where the energy makes a blast, there's nothing better than being on Stu's Wrestling Podcast.
You're listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast. It's time. Your host, Stu Palmer.
We are back to the UK, to Birmingham, no less, for episode 116 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast. And my guest today is a returning guest. He's here for his second appearance on Stu's Wrestling Podcast, and it's none other than commentator, ring announcer, and podcaster Simon Hill. Simon has been very busy at shows. He has commentated at Odyssey Pro. He's been at the LWF as ring announcer. He's also done some commentary more recently at Kamikaze Pro as well. So there's lots to talk about with Si. We also talk about the return of his wrestling interview podcast show, Keep It Locked. It is back. He is back with a bang. He's got a new logo, as you'll see in the graphic on YouTube. He is back. He's got some great announcements there, free guests that he's got coming on, and yeah, it's great to have him back on the podcast scene. He has charted all over the world with the show, so yeah, fantastic news. So without further ado, my guest for episode 116 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast is none other than commentator, ring announcer and podcaster Simon Hill, returning for a second time. Enjoy. My guest returning, it is his second appearance on Stu's Wrestling Podcast. I had him all the way back for episode 43, and it was July of 2020. We were in the midst of COVID at that time. It is commentator, ring announcer, the host of Keep It Locked. It's Mr. Simon Hill, all the way from Birmingham in the UK. For, you know, the guests and the listeners and the viewers, they want to know locations and stuff. So yeah, from Birmingham, it's Mr. Simon Hill. How are we?
Oh, thank you very much. What an introduction that was. That, do you know what, Stu? You nailed that.
Cheers.
Brilliant, mate. And I don't know if you noticed.
Yes.
I'm a fan.
Thank you. I'm not going to mark out for myself with my own merchandise, but yeah, no, thank you for putting that on. And your 1310 apparel jacket as well.
Our friends at 1310.
The fantastic 1310 apparel, fantastic across wrestling.
Thank you so much for the introduction, man. Really glad to be back. And of course, the last time we spoke, midst of the pandemic, there was a lot going on in the world, and I think we kept each other company through that, didn't we?
Absolutely. Did we? And do you know what? It feels like it was so long ago.
It does.
But at the time, when we were in that, it was just like the days were just, every day was the bloody same, wasn't it, back then?
Yeah,
but
it really was.
We are out of that. Let's focus on the positive. We are out of that. And you've been a very, very busy man. You've called some matches, I say some, a plethora of matches now for Odyssey. You've also ring announced for the LWF, Lancashire Wrestling Federation, Steve Bibby's fantastic promotion. And yes, you've also TNT as well. So yeah, just what's been some of your favourites? Announcing, commentating, just attack this how you wish.
Oh man, where do I start? I think, the thing with commentary is it was a learning curve for me, because although I had the radio background, commentating's very different. It's on the fly. You're calling what you're seeing, but you're also having to paint a picture and build a story. So I think when I started with Odyssey Pro Wrestling, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And if I go back and listen to my first show commentating with those guys, I'm just, oh man, no, that's terrible to stop. And it was the same with TNT. So my first show was Thrill Kill, and the card was so good. Possibly one of the best death matches I've ever witnessed, with Clint Margera and Session Goth Martina. Was an incredible match, and Mark Adams and I were still kind of getting used to each other, and it was literally the first time we'd met, but it all kind of gelled really easily with Mark. I feel like Mark, was my safety net and I was his in a way, and we called some incredible matches. And you mentioned TNT. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have a very, 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 very small part in the whole Eliza Alexander, now as you want to call her, and Alexis Falcon feud last year. If I wasn't commentating, I was interviewing the girls, and they were really doing some amazing things and getting over really well across the country. And it was just such a privilege to be a small part of that, you know, helping build that story and helping establish the rivalry between one another. And obviously all that, you know, culminated right at the end of the year and Alexis Falcon picking up the title, which was a very proud moment, a very good moment, you know, and definitely just in terms of British wrestling was such a staple and a big, you know, a big mark. So, yeah, there's been so many matches, dude. I could go into loads. Dan Maloney versus Adam Maxted versus Dean Allmark at TNT, the last show of 2021, was one of the most bonkers matches I think I've ever witnessed and ever had the privilege of calling. It was from start to finish, who can hit harder, and it was a brawl for all, you know, lack of a better term, and was just physical from start to finish. Odyssey Pro Wrestling, again, getting the opportunity to call, and, you know, we crowned our first ever women's champion and Odyssey Pro Wrestling champion. Again, getting to call, that was a huge moment. And, you know, I get to work with a lot of amazing people, Stu. And I remember so my last LWF show a couple of months ago, myself and Franco Varga, you know Franco quite well, we had been on socials back and forth for quite a few years, you know. We used to just interact with stuff, and he was meant to come on the podcast at one point, but I don't think times quite matched up. Well, we saw each other at a catch show, and we got chatting, and my biggest moment, well, my I guess inner wrestling fan kind of popped a little bit when I got to introduce and ring announce Franco Varga to the ring at LWF. So that was a really cool moment as well. And I remember because I'm very close friends with Mecha Wolf and Bestia, as you know. The NWA
I do. Yes, you are indeed.
I remember because he's from Puerto Rico as well, and I said to him, you know, as soon as he come down to the ring, I was like, you watch me roll those R's, because I used to get hammered for that by John Mecha Wolf, sorry. And as soon as he come out, you know, it's the big extravagant Puerto Rico introduction, and he just kind of looked up, winked and nodded, and he's like, yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, Stu, I could go on forever, mate, when it comes to memories and announcing some incredible matches. Obviously, you were there at Extreme Fields. That was a day. Calling 17 matches in one day was very tough. And I always make a little joke that Mark Adams got a little break, but I didn't, because Ethan Edwards, the owner of Odyssey Pro Wrestling, joined me on commentary for their showcase match. Mark Adams stepped aside. But that was just incredible, man. Like, obviously the challenge there was calling 17 matches, trying to make each match sound different the way it's delivered, whilst remembering all the info for the amount of talent that was in the building that day, as well as everything else that was going on. So it was a tough gig, but it was so good. And Mark got me through it, and I think I did the same with him. And the less glamorous side of professional wrestling, Stu. So I thought, right, we're going to need some honey and lemon, and we're going to need some hot water. I didn't bring mugs because I thought, you know what, it's a working venue. They will have mugs. So they didn't. So we went rummaging around this venue. We found these like huge cocktail jugs, almost like 2-liter jugs. And I took them up to Mark. I was like, this is all I can find. He's like, oh, God, right, fine. So we boiled the kettle. We pulled and filled these 2-liter jugs with boiling water. We put a full lemon each, cut it up, put a full lemon each in these, and just squeeze a load of honey, mixing it around. So we're sitting behind our commentary desk with these giant tankard like cocktail things, just sipping honey and lemon tea all day. But those are the little things that make it, you know. It's not all glitz and glamour in professional wrestling. Sometimes you just have to make do, and we certainly did. But in terms of the show itself, I mean, to be involved in one of the most ambitious projects in BritWres history, there's not many people that get to say that. So I'm very fortunate and privileged to have had that opportunity.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. It didn't help matters when, you know, you're a patron, you've paid for a ticket, and you end up drinking 2 beers at a time. Thinking to yourself, because the venue was obviously inside darkness. It could have been any time, couldn't it? Go into the toilet there, because it used to be the old Crazy House. Used to be my go-to when I was in uni. I used to go there, get me rock night on and all that. But anyway, yes, the windows said different, didn't they? It was free in the afternoon. I'm like, hold on a minute. But yeah, going back to it as a show, as an event, it was incredible. And yeah, props to you and Mark covering that amount of matches. I've done a bit of commentary myself. It is not easy. So many people, I can do that. And I say, well, you know, it isn't as easy as people make out. So yeah, that amount of matches that you covered, that's just incredible to me.
Yeah, it was tough, but so much fun. And obviously we were at work the day after as well. So we had to call another 8 matches the day after on Ignition. Which, you know, I will go out and say TNT Ignition doesn't get the eyes it deserves because the young talent on there are going to lead this country, you know, if not tomorrow, the next day. The likes of Thelwell, Scott Oberman. You have some of the younger women coming through, Lucy Sky, Aurora Tevez, Tonga, who's up and down the country just killing it right now. You know, you've got Cameron Solis, still quite young, 24, I believe, maybe nearly 25. He's fearless and, you know, doesn't care where he lands, but he'll land. I've seen that lad do some crazy things. But, you know, the whole landscape of that is very underappreciated, I think. So I think Ignition, for me personally, was always my favourite show. Just purely because of the young talent, the fearless young talent that were coming through, and you get to witness sometimes new talent coming through the door as well. And you do have some great other guys, obviously, you know, Made to Last as well, with Leon Gray and Ryan Thorne, incredible tag team. Great young guys coming through from Future Shock, and they're getting their opportunities up and down the country as well. Recently had those at Odyssey Pro Wrestling, and they really put on a showcase. So yeah, there's a lot of young talent in this country, and Ignition's kind of one of the places where, you know, they give that opportunity to.
Got Slamaganza coming up with Steve Bibby's LWF, of course.
Yes.
It's coming. It's this weekend, actually, funnily enough. So yes. Well, how are you feeling leading into Slamaganza? I've got to ask you. Let's get current. Let's get a little bit current. And,
Very excited, Stu. Very nervous as well. I mean, this one, I think I put a tweet out yesterday. So this is a very, it's close to heart, because I got back from working in Poland last summer, and my first gig was LWF Slamaganza. They called me in because Mike Angus was booked elsewhere, and we had such a great time. I ring announced there, and it was amazing. So obviously me returning to Slamaganza again is going to be very special. I'm doing something a little bit different though, and I'm very much looking forward to this. Obviously, you and I, Stu, were a fan of the early 90s, and you know, we go back to the classic era of WWF and things like that. Now, they've told me I'm going to play a very much Mean Gene role. So the second they come out of the ring, you know, we're going to do a live interview in front of the audience.
Brilliant.
That I'm so excited for. But then I'm going to be guest commentating the main event as well. So not just that, but you look at the talent that's on this card. I mean, wow, it's going to be explosive. A lot of feuds, a lot of storylines going on. Of course, the main event, Sonny Durst, are now challenging for that title, you know, against Reynaldo. So that will be a very big match. I love seeing Harley Hudson getting opportunity, because I feel like she's the next big star in wrestling. I think I've watched her multiple times. I've seen her at various shows, and you know, I know sort of the training she goes through. And I mean, you go back, my first show of the year, it was the Ignition Rumble. She broke a bone in her foot during that. Now she's back better than ever. So I'm looking forward to seeing her again at LWF. But yeah, it's just going to be an all-out war. So this Slamaganza is going to be very special. I think it's really going to put LWF on the map and, as a serious contender for one of the biggest promotions or must-see promotions in the country.
What a show that's going to be. I'd stay on about a month or so ago now. What a lovely guy. Incredible. It's just, he's such a great lad. Had a good time. And more power to them and the guys obviously involved, the booking side of it, which I couldn't do. For watching wrestling for so many years, the guys that book these shows as well. I know the talent needs to be on a level as well. Yeah. But I couldn't book matches myself, even after watching it for so many years. I just haven't got that in my brain. So
no, me and you both, mate. As much as we're both around it, quite a lot. I wouldn't know where to begin, to be quite honest with you. So props to all these promoters that do manage to put a really solid show together and do it in a professional way. I think that's important as well, is communicating with your talent, communicating with the guys that you need to put on a great show and a very good feel good vibe. And that's why I love Odyssey so much, Stu, because all the guys there really have created one of the, if not the best locker room that I've ever been in. And I'm very honoured to be a part of that.
Odyssey, obviously, for the viewers and listeners, just what's coming up with Odyssey? If you can give us a little rundown, that'd be nice to hear.
Absolutely. So I'll try and avoid as much as I can between myself and Lance, but I'm sure you'll ask anyway. So
he's a good-looking chap. He is a good-looking chap. I will give him that, and he's doing. He's doing
go to his edge. That's his problem.
He's doing very well, though, mate. No,
I said this on comms, right? I don't understand how a lad who has everything, he has the looks, he has the in-ring ability, he has the charisma and energy and agility, how he can be such a dick. But anyway, so I've been advised by Odyssey Pro management to hold back on addressing anything with that. I'm happy to kind of talk about how it all began and things like that. But yeah, so with what we've got coming up, Mutiny is our next show, which is June the 18th. Now, we had our last show on Saturday, and our biggest show to date, Stu, War on the Shore, one of the most historic events in British wrestling history, as you know, from back in the day with Alpha Omega and places like that. So in Morecambe, it is real in Morecambe, that's the saying, and it really is. And if you haven't been to a show yet, if you want to experience a crowd like no other, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, sometimes myself and Kurt, we have to shout because all we can hear in our cans is just the crowd going mental. So at War on the Shore, Harley Hudson faced off against Tonga. She came up short, but Tonga had to break the rules to make sure she got that win. And that was a very physical match, very good match, good showcase from Harley to come in and introduce herself to the Odyssey Pro Wrestling faithful. But I guess the biggest story of the night, Stu, was Morecambe's very own. He's the Tom Cruise of Morecambe. He's the Rock of Morecambe. Anywhere that Ryan Hunter goes, he's, kissing babies' heads and signing T-shirts. So he was in a triple threat match with RPD, of course, a fan favourite, good friend of mine. I know you know him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go on record just to say this. That lad, not just encapsulates positivity and good energy and a great person to be around, but if you look at his journey and what he's managed to do so far, the transition from boxing to wrestling, he has done it. Well, he's made it look easy. It might not be easy, but he's made it look so effortless. When you watch him in the ring, you think he's been wrestling for 10 years. In cutting a promo, just put a mic in his hand and let him go. Because he's really something special. So we had Ryan Hunter, the champion, against RPD and Andre Decker. Of course, that whole story had been building for 6 months. Andre Decker showed up on our first show back in August. uninvited. He managed to infiltrate the security and attacked members of the roster and really got in amongst the pigeons there, of course, attacking RPD, and that had gone back and forth. He attacked our general manager at another show, Ethan Edwards, forcing him to miss the Christmas show because he was, he got attacked and got injured. So that whole story was, I mean, for me, one of the most captivating stories in British wrestling last year, and it all carried on into War of the Shore. And Ryan Hunter, the whole Shield spot, decided that he'd had enough, and for whatever reason, we don't have the answers, but has joined up with Chris Brooker, Reese and Rogan Kelly, and Andre Decker onto the spotlight, turned his back on RPD with a chair shot to the back. Obviously, the whole crowd, I mean, Stu, I've never witnessed anything like it. So the second RPD had been hit with that chair shot from Ryan Hunter, I was seeing people in the crowd rip off their Ryan Hunter t-shirts. This was how important it was to that crowd and how big of a moment it was. I've never seen anything like it. So that's the biggest moment that took place. Of course, you'll be able to watch this on our Patreon /Odyssey Pro Wrestling, and later, on Powered 4 TV, the great guys there that support the whole British wrestling scene. And it's a big moment. So it was a very, very big event. Of course, my favourite tag team at the moment outside of Kings of the North, and of course, I've got to say my friends, Low Rebellion, Synergy. The joke last year was I see those guys more than my own mother. But every time I get to watch them, you just watch the growth, the evolution, they're enjoying it as well, and you can tell that. And again, they're great guys to be around in the locker room. And I always make a point and make some time to go and speak to them. But yeah, so a lot coming up for Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Stu. Of course, our Patreon is just kicking off. We're going to have full shows with commentary on there, as well as in-depth interviews, some cool content going up very soon as well. So, I will definitely, I'm going to have to invite you up to a show, Stu, because I really think you need to experience, Morecambe.
It's been amazing, especially up in the Northwest. How much has come, especially off the back of last year when everything was starting back up, the rules changed. The Northwest, as I've said it for a while, it's thriving. It's thriving. No, not just to regionalise it, because it's across the board. How well it's doing. It's been on the upsurge the last decade. The independent scene over here, we know that anyway. But just amazing. Si, what about just to segue out for a minute? When is Keep It Locked coming back? Now, I asked you about this a couple of months ago. And I have patiently been waiting. I've left it for a couple of months. So I'm asking you, I've got you now on screen. What is happening with Keep It Locked? I will ask the juicy questions. I will. No, mate, I will do it.
You've got to ask the juicy questions. Keep It Locked is coming back within the next few weeks. So I'm also having all new branding, which the wonderful Elliot is doing. So we're getting a whole new look, whole new feel. There's some backing behind it as well. Obviously, the last show was May last year with La Rebellion, just before they're about to challenge for those tag titles, the NWA tag titles, and now obviously they are champions. They're bringing those over to the UK soon as well. Of course, we all know they're going at TNT against Kings of the North. So that will be incredible. But yeah, so it is coming back. And do you know what, Stu? Because it's you, I haven't told anyone this. So let me just grab my phone and I'll give you a little insight into the first few guests, just because it's you. So first off, I'm getting Amelia McKenzie, NXT UK's Golden Girl. So she'll be coming on as well. I'm going to get the return of now, or it looks like NXT's A-Kid.
Brilliant. Yes, I know. I know you've always felt highly of A-Kid and then winning the Heritage Cup, of course. And I know how high and how much respect you have for A-Kid.
Yeah, great guy. Absolutely have all the time in the world for him. To be honest, we just nerd out about gaming 90% of the time. But I remember sending him a copy of Assassin's Creed a couple of years ago. And we just nerd out about games we're playing and stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having him back on. Of course, the evolution of what he's been doing the last 6 months has been insane. So very proud of him and very much looking forward to talking about that. And of course, former WWE star Alexander Wolf, who is going to be making his progress bow this weekend. So that'll be incredible. But yeah, looking forward to having a conversation with him as well. So those are the first three guests.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that and breaking that one. There's the premiere. There you go. There you go. And I've just knocked that out again.
3 very exciting episodes to kick things off. Amelia Mackenzie, A-Kid, and Alexander Wolf. So
fantastic. The triple threat. He's back.
Yeah.
He's
I'll
back.
tell you what, that would be some triple threat, wouldn't it?
Yes. Absolutely. So yes, you've heard it here first. Keep it locked. We'll be back. It will be returning. 3 guests coming up. And yeah, we look forward to the future of that as well. And the return. Absolutely. Right, Si, back to commentary. Now, I'm going to throw a few at you here now, right?
Go for it.
A main event. I'm going to do 3 different ones. I'll do a stipulation match as well and a tag match. But yeah, main event, and you get to commentate, and it's a one-on-one. In your world, who would you love to commentate on? Who would be up there? One-on-one.
British wrestling.
It can be as wide as you want.
Ooh.
World title. We'll put a world title in there as well, just to juice it up a bit.
Oh man. I'll tell you what, just for the interest and purposes, I'll stay away from the big promotions.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Hey, it's yours. It's yours to have a play with, mate.
Oh, that is such a
that was there was a bit of innuendo in that one. I could have worded that one a bit better. Yeah.
Put the beep across that.
You did well. You did well not laughing there. You did well.
You saw me put my hand over my face.
Oh, crikey.
I'd say one person I've really wanted to call a match, and that is Kanji. I think I know she's had troubles with injury and stuff like that, and various other issues in the past. I know she's coming back and hitting hard, and it's so good to see her back. But that, I tell you what, she's going to get signed, and she's going to get signed soon. She is an unbelievable talent. Before she does that, I would love to commentate a match between her and... No, I'm going to go into a big promotion here. Ruby Soho. I think that would be an insane match. Both love to get hit hard. They also are both agile. So I think that would be a real dream match for me. I mean, look, I'm not going to shy away from it. Because it's my friends, and it's also, it's 2 tag teams that I know very, very, very well. But I think the Kings of the North and La Rebellion match will be an absolute stormer for the NWA titles. Is going to be incredible. That is a match that's actually happening at TNT.
Yes.
So, yeah, obviously, I would have loved to have called that match for many, many reasons, a lot of them personal, but I think that will be an incredible match. But yeah, so the singles one, I'll go with Kanji and Ruby Soho. Yeah. So what's the next one?
You pick the stipulation here. I'm not going to pick the stipulation. It's a stipulation match. Also, right, do you know where else we can get the venue as well? You can pick any venue.
Right.
Throw a venue in, but yeah, the stipulation match of your choosing, and obviously the two in that, or it could be a triple threat. I don't know, or it could be a 4-way. But yeah, I'll leave it open. Stipulation about Simon Hill's choosing. Right.
Madison Square Garden. We will go with a Hell in a Cell match And I will go with. You really have put me on the spot with this, Eddie Kingston against Josh Alexander against Roman Reigns. I think that's as physical as it gets. Eddie and Roman, they're not scared to lay a few in. Josh Alexander loves a brawl. A person that I have been fortunate enough to have on my podcast twice. I know you've followed his work as well, Stu. So, obviously former champion at Impact, and he makes waves up and down the world at the moment. So I think that is an absolute worldie of a match, in my opinion. That would be my second match.
Absolutely. Now, Kingston alone, just promo. It's arguable. It's arguable now that he is the best promo in wrestling.
100%.
You can believe every word. That's the hardest thing to do, because we've seen stuff recycled over the years. So to make it feel fresh and as you say, the brawling style, but you just. I'm chuffed he's where he is now, because he deserves it. It's been a long old slog for him, but fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The first time I met Eddie was in a bar. I was DJing a wrestling after party, and there was myself and a few of the NXT guys doing a few shots, and Eddie came. I was like, "I'll do a shot." I was like, "All right, there you go." And then he was like, "Just play some DMX, dude." I was like, "All right, no worries." So anyway, did that. The second time I met him was after a match. He cut a promo, and I was the backstage interviewer. And I was trying my hardest to stay in gimmick, Stu, because he was so emotional, so passionate, started crying during this promo. And oh man, that's my favorite backstage interview of all time, because the amount of passion and emotion that Eddie has, and as you say, the best promo in wrestling right now. For me, the only person that even comes close would probably be Heyman, but it's in a different way.
Of course, he's got to put the person over, that he's managing. It's a total, which he's done it countless times. And reinvigorates himself as he goes along. Do you know what I mean?
Time.
The number of years, man. It's crazy. It is crazy. I think I'm just going to jump in a second. Have you watched WrestleMania? Did you manage to get it watched? That was a test. That was a test of endurance in itself. I think it was low expectations again. It's got to be said. I think we've had this countless times. It did deliver. It was two total different nights, though, wasn't it? The main night was more wrestling focused, I would say. And then we had the sports entertainment side, didn't we, on the second night? But Si, how was it for you? Fan perspective.
For me, I would go on record, and this may cause some controversy. I think it was the best WrestleMania weekend of all time. I really do. I think the whole package, from Hall of Fame, Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania 1 and 2, I think it was just phenomenal. As you say, night one was very much wrestling focused, but as a wrestling fan, you were able to get really captivated by that. Some incredible matches on that card, and some great moments. Night 2 was my favorite night. For many reasons.
That is split opinion. Night 2, but it depends what you're after and what your psyche is with your wrestling, your show.
But I think long-term fans of WWE will notice the wave of up and down and how it's gone. And I think with Night 2, you saw WWE have some fun. They didn't need to take everything so seriously. The Sami Zayn match with Johnny Knoxville and the whole Jackass crew has to be up there with one of the most fun matches in WWE history. because it was that. And, you know, although Sami Zayn did a lot of work, you know, from a talent perspective, he really, really made everything look so good. So, you know, Kevin Owens was right on Twitter. Like, you don't understand how good Sami Zayn is until you give him something that he's, you know, that's his bread and butter. So, obviously that, you know, I'm a massive Roman Reigns fan. I was when everybody hated him. You know, I was always the one that was still backing him. Even on WrestleMania night, I was straight on website ordering his new shirt, which hasn't come yet. But, you know, so I think that was the right call, in my opinion. I'm not sure if that was a planned finish because I know there was some injury problems. But, yeah, for me, Reigns was the right call to keep that because, look, he's just here to carry this company, isn't he? And he's doing amazing things. The whole bloodline is just so good, so captivating. I remember myself and Leah Raven, another in-ring talent, were watching it together, both curled up with loads of snacks. And, you know, she's one of those that's really laid back with wrestling. But even with the Roman stuff and the bloodline stuff, she was like, this is just so good. It's just so good. So, yeah. Yeah, for me, Stu, arguably one of the greatest of all time.
Props to Pat McAfee. Props to Logan Paul. When he did that jump to the top turnbuckle to get the elevation. I know he's NFL. I know he's a sport. He was a punter for Indianapolis years ago. He's got the sport background, but as you say, people have tried crossing over and they can't do it. Tyson Fury struggled with it. You thought, oh, boxing, it doesn't necessarily transcend, does it, coming from another code, another sport? But yeah, those two. Now, Logan Paul, I'll go on record, mate. I will go on record. Jake Paul does my head in doing this boxing side, and we cover this. We cover this on Big Fight Weekly. I've gone on record. I can't stand it, the celebrity side of this.
Yeah.
Jake Paul, the promoter, going into promoting boxing, speaks very well. I'll get it. I get what he's doing. But Logan Paul, I know more people gravitate to Logan Paul as a person, but fantastic in the wrestling ring, to be fair to him. I slate him. I slate him for doing the celebrity boxing side, but I was very impressed with him tagging with the Miz against the Mysterios.
He was great. And, you know, I said, like, I was impressed on how much he took, you know, from the Mysterios. He was happy to go in and take those moves. It wasn't about protecting the celebrity. It was about, let's go, you know, and I thought that was incredible. Pat McAfee, as you say, just what an athlete. What an athlete. I mean, not just for backflipping off the top rope, then launching himself back up to give a superplex. I've said to Bailey, look, when I come back to training, I want you to teach me how to do that. He's like, good luck. So
if you don't succeed, try again. I've got every faith. I think you'll do it. Thank you,
mate. Thank you. Yeah, I think Bailey thinks otherwise, but we'll see. But yeah, you know, I think Pat McAfee really, really, you know, that was him, and he loved every moment as well. You could tell. Amazing. He's in a wrestling fan, as mine and yours would, Stu, would be absolutely going mental.
I'm going to go off topic and go on to his show. I like the fact, I'm not going to do it. I was going to do it. I love it when he stands up on his podcast and he's talking. And I have thought about doing that myself because, as you know, I'm animated. But I thought I'm going to be ripping Pat off. But you could call it the Pat McAfee podcast stance. I'm going off topic a bit there, but the person and on commentary, and I was a naysayer about him when he was in NXT.
Exactly
when he was in the cage match. Si, I think we have spoke about this because this is going back a bit now, isn't it? I think 2019 against Undisputed Era War Games. Yeah. And he did well. He did well that night, and I was like, this guy, I'm not buying it. And I've had to. You know, I've had to take a U-turn of how I feel about Pat McAfee. I really have.
Exactly the same, Stuart. And I remember, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 WrestleManias ago, the first time I saw him standing on the ramp in shorts, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, what's he doing? And now, I mean, especially after that match, I was sold. His interview with Vince, though, was great as well. Yeah. You know, I know he was...
Boss.
Yeah, just get the marking out of
Get the boss in. And then when he tells him he's got a match... Really? And then when Brock was on as well a couple of months prior to that, and he smashes the table. And it's just chaos. There's just carnage. But he's gone from strength to strength, whether it be at the commentary table or when they've asked him to do a match.
Yeah, he's always delivered.
Yeah,
he's always delivered.
He is loved. We know what the IWC are like. It can be quite toxic, but in the main, I think a lot of people do respect the guy, which is nice.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. I think he's doing amazing things, and I think he'll keep doing amazing things. So it's good to see. Really good to see.
What about the news we've had that's pretty current? The Principality Stadium in Cardiff, we're getting a show, the biggest show over here in 30 years, September the 3rd. I was looking at hotels in Cardiff. The prices have already gone through the roof. Alex McCarthy from TalkSport had ran a post saying there's been 58,000 people that want tickets, the biggest amount of people in one go.
Bigger than WrestleMania.
What your thoughts? What your thoughts on this, man? Because this has been talked about for donkey's years, and we've been waiting. And then Triple H, maybe last year, was saying, "Oh, it won't be happening," and it's happening. It's going to be huge.
I think it's been up and down because I remember like 5, 6, 7 years ago, Triple H, he said like we do want to come back to the UK for a big event, and then obviously, as you said, he did that U-turn, didn't he? And now it looks like we're going to get SummerSlam, hopefully. And in Cardiff, a 75,000-seater stadium. Obviously, if they're able to get more in around the ring as well, which would be incredible. You could potentially be putting 85,000 in there, which is amazing. So I registered my interest, Stu. So, and again, I said to my mate, like, I don't care what it costs. I will pay $1,000 to get on that front row or $2,000 to get on that front row because I want to experience. If I'm going to do it, Stu, I don't want to be up in the nose.
No.
I want to be there front and center. I want to enjoy it.
They've got to put the roof on. They have to put the roof on, and don't put the truss thing across. It's above the ring.
Oh, they've got to stop doing that.
Yeah, it just blocks views, man. And you're saying about getting as many patrons in as possible. In that format, in that setting, just have a low entrance way that they have done before SummerSlam. Just have the seats behind. Just cram in as many as they possibly can, as feasibly possible.
Yeah, by all means, like the entrance stage, have a good stage, have it looking as good and as high as you want, really. But yeah, the ramp, have it a low ramp, let them come down, let them look, they're back in the UK. It's, 30 years since we had this. Let's do it properly. And just like yourself, Stu, probably, I'm super excited.
Please give us some title changes. Obviously, SummerSlam, isn't too long before. I'm just hoping they will, there'll be title changes and stuff of that nature. I hope they do that because obviously they're not in America, they're not in Saudi Arabia. They've got to give us stuff something like that. I feel, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're not going to shortchange people.
No, the last time I went to a WWE event, Stu, 2K had taken me and a few others, and we went to Manchester for Raw. Great event. It was brilliant. So much fun. It was my first time. Like, I'd seen WWE live, but I hadn't seen the production side, like, of Raw and how that works. So that was fascinating to me. The next night was SmackDown, which I wish they had taken me to, which is where AJ won the title. So they have changed titles over here before. So I think, hopefully if they're going to put all this into coming back to the UK for a big event, you'd think there'd be some title changes, surely.
I think they've seen the success of like Anthony Joshua in the boxing coming there because everyone was clamouring for Wembley.
Yeah,
I think it's great. It's great financially for Wales. Have people in America? They're like, Cardiff. Yeah, it's not down the road from here. I'm at the north. I'm at the north. They just necessarily think, in America,
London.
They do the distances there, don't they? I'm like, it is 4 hours away by car or train. They think it's just down the road for me. Are you going? Not just Americans. There's people from the UK as well. I said, I am on the North Wales coast. I'm not in the capital, but just amazing the amount of messages and stuff. Are you going? I am debating it, Si. but obviously little man's on the way in July.
Yeah,
so.
you got a lot to save for now, mate.
Yes, but I would love to be there with you.
Yeah, mate. I hope you are. So yeah, the second those tickets actually go on full sale, I am going to be pricing it all up and going for it. Can't wait.
Simon Hill's tips for budding commentators / ring announcers.
Cool. Do your research. So what I do is very different. I'm not going to try and pull the curtain back too far here, but I will speak with each member of the roster to find out how they want to be portrayed on commentary for other people. So research is so important, and I feel that for you to carry that match, although what a lot of people get lost in, I find, is just chatting through the match rather than calling it. You can still call the match and give facts whilst it's all unfolding, and make it engaging, make it captivating, make it a reason for you to listen to the commentary. You know, a lot of people shoot down Corey Graves. I love listening to him because he calls a match and he's always got something to say that you didn't know. And I feel that's really important. My favourite commentator before he left was Tom Phillips, one of the modern guys. Because again, the way he called the match was so well structured. So yeah, just ensure you're doing your research, call the match, know what moves you're calling, you know, don't call a Russian leg sweep a flatliner or whatever you want to call it. You know, and be very aware of what's going on. Another one is work on your delivery. So I listened back to my first ever commentary gig, and how can I put this? You know, it was very not monotone, but it was one level. Whereas I'm big fans of like JR and Jerry Lawler, who were all over the place. You know, they were up. And energy is so important. So if you are there and you're calling, Irish whip into a hip toss, like who cares? Right, you're just one level. Get up there. Like, obviously don't pop for just a drop kick. You know, obviously get those big moments and make them feel really big and really important. I've heard commentators go, "Oh my God, a net breaker!" Like, dude, it's a net breaker. You know, they're on the comeback. Just sell it as what they're trying to do and build the story. So I think that's really important as well, is find your balance. You know, make the big moments feel big. And don't make the small moments feel big, because when you get to the big moments, they won't feel as big on commentary. So yeah, research, delivery. Of course, you know, I think what a lot of people get lost in is, so I have a pet peeve, Stu, is a lot of professional broadcasters, kind of like myself. You got Mark Adams, some of the guys up at ICW who are professionally trained, get overlooked by somebody who had a podcast in their mum's bedroom once, and then moan about comms not being professional. We've seen videos in the past, haven't we, of commentators being very derogatory or you know, unfavouring towards them, and very unprofessional. So ensure what you're doing is professional. Stay professional, stay humble. You know, not saying that those people don't deserve an opportunity if they're able to deliver and do good, but put the work in, you know what I mean? Like, there are people that are professionally trained that are working hard day and night for their craft because it's their job. So just ensure you're working hard and staying positive, staying energetic, and, you know, really showcasing that you're able to put the same work in as the guys that have been. And, you know, look, not everyone can get professionally trained, Stu. I'm well aware of that, especially in this day and age. It costs an absolute fortune, but you can learn. And I think that's what's really important as well. So, you know, look, a lot of people go, "Oh, I don't listen to myself back." Like, I listen to myself back. And yeah, there are moments where I'm still like, "Come on, Si, what are you doing?" You know, and rewind it back. And that's how I learn, because I am a firm believer you don't stop learning. You can always evolve and grow more. And whatever you're doing, stay humble with it.
Absolutely. No, fantastic. No, sound advice. The number of matches you've done as well now, and that's good. It's good advice. It really is. And
well, I mean, at Kamikaze, Stu, this has come around really weird. So my debut at Kamikaze next Friday on commentary. The main event of that will be my 300th match.
Amazing. In a short space of time.
Yeah.
When you put it together, when you coagulate it all, that's amazing. No, well done to you, man.
Oh, thank you.
Well done. I mean that. It's not easy. I've been doing it at Superstar with Mike. But
you've been doing well, mate. I've had
stories have been developing now. We've got backstory. I'm very much doing colour. I just don't feel the need to have the notes. He's on play-by-play. He's got his notes. I like to. It's a different way. It's a different way being on colour. I like to ad lib. I like to call it as I'm seeing it. I know the backstories now to people. It was difficult. Initially because you're getting to know the guys and what they do. But yeah, that's just my way of doing it.
No, mate, you're spot on. And Mark Adams is the same. So when I would do play-by-play at TNT, Mark was colour. He didn't want the notes. He had my notes in front of him if he needed.
Yes.
But you're absolutely right. The play-by-play is calling what's going on.
Yes.
The colour is adding to that. They have some facts, some knowledge, but they also have to be in the right place at the right time. You can't just be in the middle of a really good spot in a match and go, oh, yeah, but in 1999, they trained for a month. Like, it just doesn't flow, does it? So, with yourself, you're doing it the right way. Mark Adams does his the right way because
not to say there's a right or wrong with this. I mean, there'll be colour guys that do need it. They might have bullet points or words, buzzwords. I'm not disputing that. It's just. You do it the way you feel comfortable with. Sorry, I've jumped in. I've jumped in on you there, mate.
You're spot on, mate. You're spot on, and it just has to make sense, doesn't it?
So, of course.
Like with yourself and Mike, you'll have that relationship now where you can come in with something that fits. Mark was the same with me. He knows he can just jump in and it works. I mean, for me, Mark Adams, working with him is a special experience, and anybody that gets to work with him will always have a great experience because he's so professional, he's so good. There were moments that he made with how good he was, and even though the play-by-play kind of leads things, when you've got somebody that good on colour, it's them that make the whole scenario what it is. And when you've got somebody that good, and yourself, Stu, you'll have moments like that in matches where you can go, wow, okay, that actually sounded brilliant. It worked.
And I'll go back like yourself, and I think, oh crikey, that wasn't right. But at least you're aware going back that you've made a bit of a you've done something wrong. We're only human, aren't we, side? There's going to be mistakes. You could be the best commentator ever. You hear it on a live broadcast.
We do.
They step, a word. I'll say the wrong word or whatever, but they carry on, don't they? It's as if it's never happened.
Yeah, exactly. And look, we hear the biggest and the best commentators in the world making mistakes, Stu, but that's because it's happening there and then. You're calling it there and then.
Yes.
And sometimes, your brain doesn't keep up with your mouth sometimes. I've certainly had that situation multiple times. I remember one spot we were at TNT, and I was so excited because I knew that this was coming because I'd spoken to JJ beforehand, and JJ was going to be doing Alexis Falcon's finisher in the ring. Alexis Falcon was watching. She was 3-4 people away from me. And I was going to pop so hard, and I ended up saying nothing nowhere near that I wanted to say. So he dropped Alexis Falcon's finisher, And I was like, Falcon's Fury in memory of Alexis Falcon. I was like, she's not dead. So my brain clearly didn't keep up with what I was trying to do, and instead just referenced as if she died or something. I went back and I sent the clip to her, and I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, rest in peace. But it's one of those things, Stu, you can't help it sometimes. You're calling so much. I mean, even within the 10, 15, 20-minute matches, you don't stop talking. And if there's 8 of those on a card, there's a lot of information there.
Absolutely.
Just like football commentators,
which is what I wanted to do many years ago. That is where I wanted to go. Yeah, it was my dream. People said, "Yeah, I could see you doing that." It didn't happen. But it was always. I'll tell you now. Up in my bedroom, playing FIFA, commentating to myself. Big Gary comes in. I'm all flustered up. He's the old man. What are you doing? What are you doing in there, not bad? I was just channeling my inner John Motson. Flustered by the old man commentating on FIFA. But yeah.
I loved John Motson, but for me it was Clive Tilsley, mate. I thought he was that was the pinnacle for me.
Brian Moore as well for ITV, the late great Brian Moore, the distinctive voice, absolutely. Yeah. Clive Tilsley being secondary to Sam Matterface is an absolute disgrace in my mind. Now,
I totally agree.
Sam Matterface is decent. I'm not disputing it, but he shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a stepping stone for Clive Tilsley for years.
No, absolutely.
All those iconic Champions League nights on ITV.
World Cups that he's been at.
Yeah. I remember him at BBC doing Match of the Day before he went to ITV. That's
baffles.
We've gone off the topic. We've gone off the topic of wrestling, but it is commentary. But good tips there in relation to wrestling commentary. It's not easy, mate. It's not easy to do. It is not easy to do.
It's a very tough job for sure.
On the contrary.
Yeah, very, very tough. But I enjoy it. I love a challenge in my life, Stu. As you well know, I've always done things that have challenged me. So, it doesn't stop there.
Absolutely. Si, just in closing, just a little bit about Keep It Locked. It's coming back again just for the viewers and listeners as we close out.
Awesome. Yeah, so Keep It Locked will be back at the end of this month. First 3 episodes. As Stu got the first scoop on that will be Amelia McKenzie, A-Kid, and Alexander Wolf. I have got some more lined up, but we'll keep those to the chest for now. We are getting rebranded as well. Not rebranded, but a whole new look. The wonderful Elliot, for anybody that's been, kind of seen all those amazing graphics for various talent all over the world. Elliot, is 90% behind all of that, and he's designing and revamping the whole Keep It Locked look. Very excited about that as well. So lots going on with it. There's a lot of backing. Obviously, we're going to be up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any other place that you get your podcasts. You can still go back now and listen to all the old episodes. Some amazing guests on there from La Rebellion, the NWA Tag Team Champions. We've got Josh Alexander on there, Killer Kelly, Candy Floss, Eva Valkyrie. So many big names, so many amazing people. Ricardo Jesus Rodriguez, former WWE. There's a lot there and a lot to digest. Some really cool stories, great moments, great memories. We have got a lot of UK talent on there as well, from Tom Thelwell, Big Guns Joe, Alexis Falcon, Lizzie Evo. The list goes on. So, really looking forward to coming back. Also looking forward, obviously, to the LWF this Saturday. Kamikaze, making my debut there. Next Friday is going to be absolutely mental. Nervous and excited about that. I've trained with Kamikaze as well. So, there's a lot of excitement there for that one, especially with the card. Zaya Brookside is going to be there. So that's going to be amazing.
Be very, very good. Absolutely. My guest for a second time, his second appearance on Stu's Wrestling Podcast. It was nearly 2 years, side. That's gone in a blink of an eye. Gone in a blink of an eye is Mr. Simon Hill, commentator, ring announcer, and the host of Keep It Locked, which is returning this month. And as you've heard, 3 guests coming up, 3 huge guests. Yeah, thank you again for coming on Stu's Wrestling Podcast.
Absolutely brilliant. Loved it, mate. Thank you so much for having me back. And I always love chatting to you, mate. Thank you very much.
No problem. Pleasure's all mine. Fantastic having Mr. Simon Hill back on the show. As you heard, so busy in wrestling at the moment. Amazing. The return of Keep It Locked 2. I cannot wait. That episode, the first one back, is imminent. The new logo, as you've seen as well, looks bob on. So yes, a big thank you to Simon Hill for coming on again. And a big thank you to Chris Dutton for editing the show as always. Thank you to Mr. Mike Angus, Mr. Wrestling. I'm going to start calling him for the intro and the outro there. And also a big thank you to Evade Escape for the music as well, for the intro and outro. And we will see you soon for episode 117 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast.